The letter Trump wrote to the prime minister of Norway was one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in my life. It is so stupid. I have to show this to y'all. And also, Trump invited Russian President Vladimir Putin, that is currently waging an illegal war and committing war crimes while doing it, to be a part of his board of peace for Gaza. We got to stop acting like we don't know that Trump is a Russian asset. I mean, the evidence is just piling up. But before we dive into it, I want to take a second, ask everybody to subscribe to my YouTube page and sign up for my email list. Those are the best ways to stay in the loop on all things politics with Steve. Without further ado, let's get to it. All right, so here's the letter. And basically, he's saying because Norway did give him the Nobel Peace Prize, he's going to take Greenland from Denmark. Now, the whining over this Nobel Peace Prize is just bizarre. Like, bruh, you are the president. Get over it. Like, what? But on a more serious note, this is just dumb as hell. First of all, Norway has nothing to do with the Nobel Peace Prize. I literally had to search and Google and search some more because I just could not connect the dots. Like, I'm like, what does Norway got to do with the Nobel Peace Prize? Like, I'm like, I gotta be missing something. I was struggling to connect these dots. But look, let's pretend Norway is giving out the Nobel Peace Prize, right? What does Norway has to do with Denmark? Those are completely separate countries. Like, that's like somebody saying, I don't like this that the US is doing, so I'm gonna retaliate against Brazil or Canada or just like another unrelated country. It makes no sense. Like, I mean, dude is just insanely dumb. And then over the weekend, he threatened more U.S. allies with 10% tariffs because they was against the U.S. takeover of another ally, Greenland. I've said this before, but nothing about this Greenland thing makes any sense. Like, he said that the US need to take it over for national security because China or Russia would try and take it over. But there is zero credible evidence that China and Russia was even thinking about Greenland. And even if they were, the US already have permission to take any military actions in and around the island as necessary under the current treaty with Denmark. Basically, we can do whatever is needed to protect Greenland right now. The EU chief responded to the tariff threats and said they gonna move forward unflinchingly. I mean, allies talking about defending themselves against the US takeover of another ally or against tariffs from Trump, it's just a national disaster. All this is doing is making the US less safe and more expensive to live in. If NATO has to allocate any resources defending Greenland from an ally in the US, that means that those resources can't be used to protect NATO countries from all of these threats around the world. And tariffs only drive up prices for consumers. Like, we just gonna pay more. Now, usually I chalk up all of Trump moves to just him being a dummy. But there is no other logical explanation that makes sense for any of his business in Greenland outside of him just being a Russian asset. I mean, how else can anybody explain why he would invite Putin to be a part of a board of peace for Gaza when he just said that he was worried about the potential of China and Russia taking over Greenland? So that was his whole justification for that invasion. So why would you put him on your board of peace? Like, that makes no sense. What is Putin bringing to the table that you just had to have him? Why else would Trump randomly appoint one of his real estate buddies, Steve Witkoff, to lead talks for a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine when Steve Witkoff is clearly and obviously a Russian asset? I mind you, just in November, not even a full 2 months ago, it leaked that Steve Witkoff was having a conversation with a Russian official and coaching them on getting Trump to accept the Russian peace deal. And Trump didn't even care. He just sent him right back to Moscow with his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, to continue working on his peace deal. That tells me that Steve Witkoff is a Russian agent. Trump knows it, and he's also a Russian agent. And also, where was the peace deal that they spent all of this time working on? The peace deal that we seen was trash and it had no chance of being signed. So all of that working on a peace deal was for that deal? I believe that that was probably when they cooked up this Greenland strategy. We all know that Putin hates NATO. He's been wanting NATO to break up forever, right? And by the way, Steve Witkoff is known to go to Russia without bringing a US translator. Like, that is unheard of. But now we know why, because everything that he discussed with Russian officials is not always something that he would want a translator to know about. I mean, why else would Trump not care that one of his appointees was caught coaching Russia? So yeah, these guys are Russian assets. You need more evidence? We seen an email from Jeffrey Epstein saying that he coached Russian officials on dealing with Trump. Think about what Jeffrey Epstein knows about Donald Trump. I mean, Trump admitted that they were very good friends. Yeah, Jeffrey Epstein is a criminal. He's a sex trafficker. But why would he be lying about something like that more than a full year before he was actually arrested for like the big sex trafficking case? Why else was Trump stop providing basically all military support for Ukraine, including intelligence sharing? Like, just think about moments ago, he just posted that NATO is a bigger threat to the world than China or Russia. Bruh, the best thing that ever happened to Putin was Trump getting in office. I can only imagine what dirt Putin have on Trump to get him to act like this. I mean, he got this man tap dancing at this point. And Trump is a traitor, but here's the scary part. We can see publicly that he's a traitor, but when he's actually out of office, I'm sure we're going to discover a lot more ways that he compromised the U.S. I mean, he probably handed over military secrets, weapon information, intelligence information. Whatever he did is all going to come out. He will need to be put in jail. Everybody in his administration should be put in jail. But in the time being, just the thought of everything that he's doing to compromise the United States is just scary.